Hey guys, Mr. T here, just recording a video of the solutions for the Practice Financial Maths test, Year 10, the first one. So you'll have access to the graphics calculator here if you want. You can also have your device calculator, so that's what I'm going to be using on the iPad. So, just demonstrating how this works. Question 1, what simple interest, that's important, is earned on an investment of $6,500 for 4 years at 6.8% per annum. So the formula you were given was SI equals PRT. So the simple interest, SI, is equal to the principal, which was 6,500, times by the interest rate, but as a decimal, so 6.8% as a decimal is 0.068, times by the number of years, which was 4. So calculator, 6,500 times by 0.068 times by 4 is 1768 simple interest. Done. How much is borrowed? If a rate of 8.8% per annum, simple interest, gives an interest charge of $3,600 after 3 years. So as soon as it says simple interest, you're using SI equals PRT. But this time, it's asking how much was borrowed, how much the principal was. So we know the interest was $3,600. We don't know what the principal was, what was borrowed. We know the interest rate was 8%, so 0.08. And we know it was for 3 years. So work out what you can on the right-hand side, which is 0.08 times by 3, 0.24. 0.24 is multiplying P. So the opposite of multiplying by 0.24 is dividing by 0.24, which I have to do on both sides. That'll cancel out the 0.24. So P is going to be 3,600 divided by 0.24. So they borrowed $15,000 borrowed. They borrowed $15,000. Yeah. Kelly would like to earn $3,000 of interest after investing $17,000 for 3 years. What's the minimum rate of simple interest? So once again, we are doing SI is equal to PRT, but this time I don't know the rate. She wants to earn $3,000 interest, so SI is 3,000. The investment was 17 grand, so P is 17,000, times by the rate, which we don't know, times by the years, which is 3. The order of multiplication doesn't matter, so I can times those out. 17,000 times by 3, so it's 51,000. I didn't do anything with the R, so times by R. I want to get R by itself. It's being multiplied by 51,000 right now, so the opposite of timesing by 51,000 is dividing by 51,000. Do that on both sides to cancel out. So the rate is going to be 3,000 divided by 51,000, 0.059 to 3 decimal points. Therefore, that as a percentage is 5.9% per annum. Find the total amount to be repaid on a flat rate loan. So it says flat rate, that is simple interest. A loan of $4,400, rate 3.7% per annum for 5 years. So as soon as it says flat rate, that is a simple interest situation. Find the total amount to be repaid. So the total amount means you want the principal and the interest cherry on top. So we need to find the interest first. So SI, they borrowed $4,400, please, and the rate was 3.7%, so 0.037, and it was for 5 years. So right now we're working out the cherry on top, 4,400 times by 0.037 times by 5. So this loan, they got charged $814 of interest. So the total is going to be 4,400, what you borrowed in the first place, plus the cherry on top, which was 814. So 4,400 plus 814, 5,214 total. How long would it take to earn $5,000 of interest on an investment of $22,500? How long would it take to earn $5,000 interest? Invested $22,500 at simple interest and a rate of 9.5%. Give your answer in years and months. How long? So SI, because it's simple interest, we're still using SI equals PRT. But we know the interest is $5,000. We know what you invested. P is $22,500. We know the interest rate was 9.5%, so 0.095. We don't know the time. So times these out. 5,000 equals 22,500 times by 0.095. 2137.5 times by T. I want to know what T is, so I need to get rid of this times by 2137.5. How do I do that? Divide by 2137.5 on both sides. That's going to cancel out that, so T is going to be 5,000 divided by 2137.5. T is 2.34 years. But it wants it in years and months. So I know it's 2 years right now. I need to work out what 0.34 years is in months. So 0.34, there are 12 months in a year. 0.34 times by 12, that's going to give me 4.08 months. I didn't spell months properly, months. So therefore, 2 years, 4.08 months. Might as well highlight the answers. 5214, 5.9%, 15,000 borrowed, 1768, simple interest. That's page 1 done. Calculate the monthly repayments on a $6,000 loan at a flat rate, so simple interest of 8.5% over 3 years. So once again, SI equals PRT. What this is asking you to do is break up the total interest into how much that would be per month. So let's work out the simple interest. You borrowed 6,000. You had a rate of 0.085 because it was 8.5%. You did it for 3 years. So $6,000, 6,000 times by 0.085 times by 3. So in that 3 years, you're paying $1,530 simple interest, right? So in total, must pay $6,000 plus the $1,530, which is $7,530. But you're going to do that monthly. How many months are there in 3 years? 12 times by 3, 36. So the loan is $7,530 divided by 36 payments. This calculator is not sensitive. $7,530 divided by 36 is going to come to $209.17 to 2 decimal points per month. Sally has $12,000 to invest. She's going to do it for 10 years. She's offered an investment that does 5% compounding annually. What will the investment amount to after this period? So what is the total? So you have a formula. FV is equal to PV, 1 plus I over K to the power of K times by N. I'm going to demonstrate it using that and TVM solver. I'm going to do it both ways. So I'm going to take twice as long to do this and still smash the test real quick, okay? So FV, this is method 1. FV is equal to PV. She invested 12,000 times by 1 plus the interest rate was 5%, so 0.05 over K. It's compounding annually, so annually means once a year, so it's over 1 and to the power of 1 because we decided K was 1 and N is the number of years, which is 10. Clean it up, 12,000 times by 0.05 divided by 1 is still going to be 0.05, so the brackets is going to be 1 0.05, and it's going to be to the power of 10. Use the calculator for that. I'll demonstrate it with the Apple calculator. 12,000 times by bracket 1.05 to the power of the x to the power of y button, 10. That tells me $19,546.74 to 2 decimal points. That's that way. We could also do it using TVM Solver, which was what I encouraged you to do because I showed you how to do it. So TVM Solver, apps, finance, TVM Solver. So I tell the marker what I put in. I'm going to find FV, put a star next to that. PY and CY are going to both be the same. So Sally invested 12 grand, so PV is going to be negative $12,000 because the money went from her into the bank. The interest rate was 5. I don't need to convert it to a decimal. No payments being made. It's compounding annually, so PY and CY are going to be 1, and it's for 10 years, compounding once a year, so once a year times by 10 years. FV, highlight it, press alpha, enter, and that also spits out exactly the same answer, negative 12,000. PMT 0, FV is 19,546.74 to 2DP. PY and CY are 1. I'll accept both ways because you'll be allowed to have TVM Solver. In this solutions video, I need to show both. You don't have to do both. How much interest will she earn? So interest in an investment is what it grew to, FV, minus the PV that she put in, what she put in the first place. So it grew to 19,546.74, but she put in $12,000. 19,546.74 minus 12 grand. So she earned 7,546.74 in interest. A bank offers an investment package to its customers of 7.4% per annum, interest compounding annually. Find the final value of the investment of $130,000 after 5 years. So doing it both ways again with the formula, FV equals invested 130 grand times by bracket 1 plus the interest rate of 7.4% as a decimal, 0.074. It's compounding annually, so annually means once a year, to the power of 1 times by the number of years, which is 5. So clean it up, 130 grand times by 0.074 divided by 1 is the same thing. Add 1 to it, so it's going to be 1.074 to the power of 1 times by 5 is 5. Calculator time, 130 grand times by bracket 1.074 and bracket to the power of 5. $185,765.37 to 2DP. Show it the TVM Solver method. N, I, PV, PMT. FV is what we're solving for. PY and CY will both be the same for our year level. Always moves. Okay, interest rate for this question was 7.4%. They invested 130 grand, so PV is going to be negative 130,000 because I put the money from myself into the bank. It's compounding annually, so PY and CY is going to be 1 and 1. 5 years compounding annually, so once a year times by 5 years is 5. solve for FV by pressing alpha, enter. N was 5, 7.4, negative 130 grand. PMT was nothing. FV comes to 185, 765.37 to 2DP, just like before. PY and CY is 1. Same exact answer, two different ways. TVM solver is faster. Jeff requires $18,000 in 3 years' time. His bank gives him a rate of 5.7%, compounding annually. How much does he need to invest now? So you can, again, do this using the compound interest formula. He wants $18,000 later. So FV, he wants to be 18,000, is equal to PV, which we don't know, times by, it's compounding interest formula. So we plug in everything else we know, plus 5.7 as a decimal, 0.057 over, it's compounding annually, so 1 to the power of 1 times by 3 years. Clean it up, equals PV times by 1.057 to the power of 3. Work out what 1.057 to the power of 3 is. 1.057 to the power of 3 is a number, so it's 18,000 equals PV times by 1.18093219. The opposite of timesing by 1.18093219 is dividing by that. And do that on both sides, 1.18093219. That's going to cancel out those two numbers, so PV is going to be 18,000 divided by 1.18093219. PV is 15242.20 to 2 decimal points. That's how much he needs to invest now. It's actually much easier to do this using TVM solver. That's why I showed it to you. PV, PMT, FV, PY, and CY equals. Open Chrome again. Move the bloody calculator. Okay. PY and CY is annually, so both are 1. He wants to have 18,000 at the end, so FV is 18,000. The interest rate is 5.7%. He's doing it 3 years' time, compounding annually, so 1 times by 3 for N. So solve for PV. Alpha, enter. N was 3, I was 5.7. We solve for PV, so put a star next to PV, negative 15242.20 again. Same answer as doing it by hand. PMT was nothing, he's not making payments, he wants it to grow to 18,000. PY and CY are both 1. So you can see this question's kind of easier to do with TVM solver because you don't need to do algebra. Which of the following options would earn more interest on a $7,500 investment for 4 years? 9% simple interest for $7,500 for 4 years, or 8% compound interest calculated annually. So let's do the simple interest one. A, SI equals PRT. SI is going to be the 7,500 investment times by the rate, which was 0.09, times by 4. SI, I'm just going to use this calculator, 7,500 times by 0.09 times by 4. $2,700 in interest. Let's do B over here, and I'll do it calculation ways and TVM solver ways. Find the compound interest calculated annually. So FV equals, they invested $7,500 times by 1 plus The interest rate for the compound is 8%, so it's 0.08, compounding annually over 1 times by, it's for 4 years. Clean it up, 7,500 times by 1.08 to the power of 4. 7,500 times by 1.08. The power of button is this little like hat, we call it the hat symbol. That tells me 10203.67 to 2dp. So how much interest was that? Interest was 10203.67 minus 7,500. 10203.67 minus 7,500 was 2703.67 interest. So therefore, option B earns more interest. Option B earns more interest because it earned 2703 versus 2700. If we do it the TVM solver way, NI, PV, PMT, FV, PY, and CY equals apps finance TVM. We know the interest rate was 8. We know you invested 7,500, so negative 7,500. There's no payments. We're solving for FV. It's compounding annually. N is 1 times by 4. It's going to be 4. 4. 8. Negative 7,500. Alpha, enter. See, same thing. 10,203.67 to 2 decimal points, which is what we got last time. And then the interest is going to be 2703.67. 4 years ago, Alex invested a sum of money in an account paying 5.2% interest compounding annually. Currently, 7593.72 in the account. How much did he invest initially? So finding PV 4 years ago as well is important. He invested a sum of money in an account. Okay, you're trying to find PV. You can use the formula, so I'll do that here. FV, it grew to $75.93.72 equals, we don't know what was invested, so PV is unknown, times by 1, plus the interest rate, 5.2% as a decimal, 0.052, compounding annually over 1 to the power of 1. 4 years ago, times by 4, clean it up, 7593.72 equals PV times by 1.052 to the power of 4. 7593.72 equals PV. Work out what this is. 1.052 to the power of 4. 1.224793744. The opposite of timesing by that hugely long number is dividing by it. But I have to do that on both sides. 1.224793744. That's going to cancel out that number. So PV is going to be whatever. 7593.72 divided by 1.224793744 is, it's going to be 6199.9. Well, that's going to round to, that's just going to round to $6,200. $6,200.00 to 2 decimal points. Show you the TVM solver way. N, I, PV, PMT, FV, PY, and CY. Compounds annually, so both 1. There's currently $7,593.72 in the account. The interest rate was 5.2. We want to know what he started with, so PV is 0. There's no payments. N was 4 years ago. Apps, finance, TVM 4, 5.2, don't know what PV is, that's what I'm going to solve for. FV is 7593.72, 1 and 1. PV, alpha, enter. So you see it spits out the exact same thing, negative 6199. Once again, that's going to round to 6200 to 2 decimal points. Question 11, done. Not question, yeah, question 11, done. 12, Carlos. Carlos has $4,000 to invest over 5 years. Banks A and B offer the following: 7.1% simple interest, 6.7% compounding annually. Find the final value of the investment if he uses Bank A. Bank A is simple interest. So SI equals, he invested $4,000 times by the rate of 0.071, and he did it for 5 years. 4,000 times by 0.071 times by 5. He makes 1420 in interest. So total, or the final value, therefore final value is going to be $4,000 plus 1420 is going to equal 5,420 in total. Bank B is compound interest, so FV equals, he invested $4,000 times by 1 plus the interest rate of 0.067, compounding annually, so over 1 to the power of 1 again, to the power of 5, not to the power of 1 times by 5, so $4,000, let's clean it up, 1.067 to the power of 5, work that out, 1.067 to the power of 5, times that by $4,000, 5531 point, that rounds to $5532 to 2 decimal points. You'd show it the TVM solver way, N, I, PV, PMT, FV is what we solve for, PY and CY are both 1. It's after 5 years. The interest rate is 6.7%. They put in, sorry, not they, Carlos put that in. 6.7, negative 4,000. Alpha, enter. So once again, 5532.00 rounded to 2 decimal points. Same answer. Which bank should Carlos invest his money with? Bank B, as he ends up with more. How many more we have? That's it. One more page. Paula's got $8,000 to invest over 4 years, places an account which pays 6% compounding annually. What will the investment amount to after this period? Show you using the formula. $8,000 times by 1 plus the interest rate as a decimal, 0.06 over 1, compounding annually to the power of 1 times by 4. Clean it up. $8,000 times by 1.06 to the power of 1 times by 4 is 4. FV is going to be 1.06 to the power of 4 times that by $8,000. That comes to 10,099.82 to 2 decimal points. That's using the formula method. Using TVM solver, N, I, PV, PMT, FV, PY, and CY. Compounding annually, so PY and CY are both 1. Investing over 4 years, so it's 1 times by 4, it's going to be 4. The interest rate is 6%. PV, they put 8 grand in, so negative 8,000. There's no payments here. So 4, 6, negative 8,000. PMT 0. Okay, alpha, enter on FV. That comes to the same exact answer, 10,099.82 to 2 decimal points. Use either way, just make sure you put a star next to what you're working out. How much interest will she earn? Interest equals FV, what it grew to, minus PV. So it grew to 10,099.82, but she put in 8 grand. 10,099.82 minus $8,000. $20.99.82. That dollar sign is garbage. Getting a bit tired now trying to speed run this. 2099.82 in interest. What rate of simple interest would be required? So this is a simple interest question. To earn the same amount of interest in this time, we want to earn, so it's SI equals PRT. We want to earn that same interest but using simple interest. So SI is going to be $20.99.82 equals P, the principal was 8 grand, times by the rate, which we don't know, that's what we're trying to find out, times by the time, which was not T, the time was 4. 8,000 times by 4 is going to give me 32,000. I didn't do anything with the R, so it's still times by R. What's 32,000 doing to R? Timesing, so divide by 32,000 on both sides. That's going to cancel out the 32,000, so the rate is going to be whatever 2099.82 divided by 32,000 is 0.066 to 2 decimal points. Therefore, 6.6% per annum rate needed. That is the first practice test done. Hopefully that solutions video helps you out. And see you in the next video.